in 2009, about 27, 28 of my guys get indicted, including this guy named Tino, who's the main guy of the South Side. And as I'm reading, because as soon as people get indicted, I go online, download the whole thing, and I read page by page, word for word, to find out what's going on. And within those documents, I find out that I met with this guy V and this other guy, let's say his name's Mike, at Dunkin' Donuts in the neighborhood. I know, right? On a Wednesday night. And that Wednesday night, there was a meeting being held in the same neighborhood that this guy was actually participating in talks of knocking him out of his place. So, in the meantime, the guy has two guys, another K, and
It's starting to look like chemistry class.
yeah, I know. And let's call this moron Fro.
Frodo.
And these two guys facilitated this meeting, right? But this guy, Mike, lo and behold, was an informant for the FBI. So while these two guys are meeting with 20 people, there's the FBI is involved here, and the FBI is involved here. By their admission. This isn't me assuming, this is by their admission within the papers. I get called to this meeting for shits and giggles, really. But this guy, V, always entrusted me to sit in something and kind of feel people out and see where they were at, if they were being honest or not. And I didn't like this guy, Mike. Now, traditionally, I get along with people named Mike. Like, I meet someone that their name's Michael, and we're fabulous friends forever. So I struggled with him because I'm like, I should like this guy, but it's not coming off too well, right? So in this meeting, somebody's wearing a wire. And what's funny is that everybody gets frisked when you come into a meeting, but nobody frisked the guy that was frisking, and he was the one wearing the wire. Which was funny as shit. Sound like you deserve to go to prison. Fucking morons. Really, because I at one meeting, this one guy that was frisking us, once everybody, I was like, anybody else coming in? He's like, no, come here. Why? Motherfucker, you can't squat, come here. Put your hands up. What? I want to frisk you too. And people were like, well, that's weird, he's security. And I'm like, he's in the room. Anyway, so they didn't follow my protocols there, and they got what they deserved. So Mike's job was to distract the V, so that he wouldn't notice 20 people coming through the neighborhood. Because once you're in the neighborhood, you notice who's coming in and out, and they would be out. Especially when they're from way on the other side of the city. In this discussion, they plan how they're going to physically hurt him to the point of death. And the FBI reported it and did nothing about it. 2 days later, after this meeting, they physically violated him. This guy ends up having about 15 stitches on the back of his neck. It fully broke his arm to the point that there was no bone left, so he has a plate in his arm now, and like 3 screws. And the FBI didn't do anything. He gave a false address, false description, the whole bit, right? That night, once we got him out of the hospital and we took him home, the FBI waited till I left the house, and then they came knocking on the door. And he was just like, what do you want? Yeah. So I had to turn around and speed back because I'm trying to catch up, because somebody else in the house texted me and said, the feds are at the door, so I'm ripping around and trying to get back to his house. But I didn't catch them, you know, because I didn't care. At that point, I wanted to confront them and be like, how the fuck did you know? You know, that's been my thing. Anyway. So all of this happens. In the meantime, this guy is preaching this to everybody. He's the one that gave the order for him and him to get hurt. But afterwards justifies this because the church he belongs to still preaches eye for an eye. So street gangs in Chicago, gang members, always gravitate to the church of an extremity to justify their feelings. I had a guy tell me that he says he's Christian, whatever, and he goes, you know, the Bible says, about homosexuality. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? He goes, well, I don't feel bad about killing that guy in prison now.
Nice.
It's just, there's churches out there that prey on gang members or ex-gang members because they know that they will remain loyal, because of that extremity. So you have two extremities of churches, right? You have the ones that hate everybody that is in them, and then you have the extraordinary liberal ones that will jump on any bandwagon that shows up, right? And in between, you have to figure out, where do you lie? I can't do this. I was never this. I just don't have a suck for that, then I just keep being like King Bucket. And I can't do this either. Because, and this is something that Bishop has talked about the whole Black Lives Matter thing. And this is extraordinarily difficult for all of you guys, because you're white. How do you,
Wait.
perception-wise, everybody's white. So how do you respond to that? Because I'll tell you what, that Black Lives Matter is attached to all of this. Simply because there's a disconnect. The disconnection to all of this is that if Tyrone gets murdered, and he's black, and I'm using a stereotypical black name on purpose.
I prefer Pookie.
Pookie and Ray get shot on 63rd and Halsted on the south side of Chicago, and the Black Lives Matter does not respond. But Tyrone's grandfather gets assaulted by a police officer, and Black Lives Matter is all over it. The problem with this church is that they will only respond when Pookie's grandfather gets assaulted, but will not respond to Pookie himself.
Remind me which is which. The one on the left is the liberal church?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, because I was trying to focus.
Left, right?
I figured you were going there. Just wanted to be sure. Very well done.
This church will respond to Pookie by saying, you ain't got Jesus in your life. And Pookie's like, oh, fuck, you're right. And by the way, we hate gays. And whoever fucked you up, you can always go back and fuck them up too, because an eye for an eye. Just make sure he's not a police officer, because we support the police. And that's what's common between these two churches, is that they will both support the police, hands down, without question. There's individuals here that don't, but in terms of an organization, they do. Now, again, I don't hate the police. They have a job just like anybody else does.
But what about the Black Lives Matter point, though? In that case, if the liberal churches will, and Black Lives Matter will get involved if it's the grandparent, which you're saying,
Right.
then that is a challenge to the police.
Not really, because there's been, what I've read from what churches have let out, it hasn't been a direct attack towards the police, but police individuals. And what we keep missing is what the police as an organization is told to do. And who is that person or people or institution that's telling the police to do contrary of what they're doing, what they're supposed to do. When I was growing up, I remember seeing the cops never left their cars in my neighborhood because it was a pretty big neighborhood, but they patrolled and they dealt with things and whatever. But as soon as the neighborhood got a little bit too dark, that's when they started coming out of their cars and shooting at us and beating us and the whole bit. And then in the mid-90s, they said, oh, well, since you're leaving your cars anyway, let's initiate community policing. And community policing across the country is what's deteriorated our police situation and community relationships. Because now the police are being told, you guys are the front line for everything. And so now they're like, well, shit, this 6-shooter isn't gonna save my life. I'm getting shot at, with automatic weapons. Don't worry, he's an AR-15, a shotgun, and a 16-shot, Glock. Here you go. Every police officer.
Holy shit.
So every cop is really an army of one, if you really look at that. Then they started buying tactical gear and tactical vehicles and all this other stuff. And we start seeing now a military police force on the streets of Chicago, which is funny because if you look up footage of the civil wars in Central America, you'll find news broadcasts about American media talking about how the police force in certain parts of Guatemala or El Salvador that were in the middle of the Civil War, that their police were too much of a military and complaining about it and whatever, and here we are 40 some odd years later, and we have an identical situation. Anyway, so the problem with all of this is that there's a constant influence of drugs, violence, corruption, from street gangs, from the outfit, from the mafia, from whomever. It's constantly flowing. The church has two options to respond. There's nobody here. There's nobody in the middle. Absolutely nobody. And nobody wants to be in the middle. Because that's the dangerous part. That's the kill box, right?
Well, the Roman Catholic Church tried to do that. They have the sanctuary churches where gangs could, and then a new cardinal comes in and says,
well, not only that, but then they get threatened. There was one priest in El Salvador that was the key person to bring peace among all the street gangs in the prison, and he brought in people from the States to work with him and whatever. Just one priest in one prison, and he was able to reduce the violence through the entire country of El Salvador. He was able to do that, But the problem is that the drug market got disrupted. So somebody went around the back and tapped the priest on the shoulder. Hey, man, you're gonna end up dead.
Oscar Romero.
I had somebody tell me, they're like, oh, the times of martyrs have gone and passed. I said, oh, it hasn't even started.
It's interesting. I mean, this is, if you're looking for analogies, this is the story of Jesus in his time, and he's standing in the middle between a co-opted church and social organization, an oppressive government, and kind of everybody washing everybody's hand. And that's where he finds himself. And of course, he winds up dead. But somehow, it's very interesting. This is an old story.
It is.
It's an old story now. It's set a Latin inflection,
Right.
you know.
And I'll tell you what, this guy told me, it was quite interesting. I was able to open it, well, I never opened it, but I got funding from Trinity United Church of Christ, which is where Dr. Jeremiah Wright came out of, which was Obama's pastor, whatever. They were willing to pay the rent on a storefront because I was going to open up an organization in the neighborhood and a whole bit. This is what kind of expedited got him really like worried that I was going to become more popular and more powerful than him. And so one day he comes and visits with a couple of older guys, and they're walking through, and you know, and I'm doing this in my mind. This is happening, you know. And I'm painting and I'm moving stuff and I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I'm like, it's a rent-free storefront. I don't have to worry about shit other than turning on this light. And he walks through and, you know, he walks outside. He's like, hey, is this guy selling his building? I'm like, oh, well, he's talked about it. He wants 7.5 for it. He's like, oh, no, that's too much. And I'm like, well, that's what he wants for it. He's like, so what do you plan on doing, bro? And I'm like, well, and I kind of broke it down to him and whatever. He's like, oh. So I'm going to need you to step down from your position. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, could you imagine the media finding out, you know, Dougler in the community is actual Latin King leader? I said, how do you think I got the money for this building? I went in as a Latin King to Trinity UCC and told them, hey, by the way, and they said, okay. And that really rocked him. That later on somebody told me, my nickname's Radar, and this other guy said, he goes, all I heard was this guy saying, Radar's become too powerful. Because he just couldn't imagine me actually doing that. But I had one of my guys, I had this guy with me at that meeting. And days after all of this happened, and he verified it for me that he walked in and said he was a king, and the guy gave him a check. You know, and that scared this guy. So anyhow, this guy, the last thing he said to me was, as he's walking out the front door, he turned around and he's like, you know, remember what happened to Jesus? And I'm like, what?
The gardener?
Huh?
The gardener?
Yeah, the gardener. he's like, you know, they killed him for doing a lot of good.
That guy's here. That guy's here. Kill all the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he left you with that comment.
He left me with that comment. Here's the great part. This guy's an informant for the FBI.
Are you familiar with the series The Wire?
I refuse to watch it because I'm just going to get upset.
Well, and of course that's a subplot there, that one of the guys who's running the operation his line connects directly with the FBI.
You always need insurance.
Right. There's a movie called Rockarola. It's a British movie, and it's the same sort of plot. And the guy that runs the criminal empire, or a criminal empire, his pseudonym in the courts is Sidney Short. Right? And so one of my guys, I told him, I said, go get this movie. And this guy is Sidney Short. Just remember that and go watch the movie. He's like, all right. And he's went and looked for it, found it online, ordered it, watched it, text me, fucking shit.
All right, I have 2 questions.
Go.
A, how do we get Judy moved into the condo?
Yeah.
There, it's empty, what the shit, you know?
Right.
And what the hell does this mean for us? I mean, what is it that?
Well, that's what it comes down to, is that I know none of us are going to go to this
Right.
right? We want to be here because we want to be as open as possible. But is this really the place anybody wants to be? I can't support it and I don't support the Black Lives movement. It's not in me to say it or to do it, simply because, and I understand the basis for it, you know, and I struggle with it because everybody else is liberal around me. Oh, you have to support it, or this is, you know, this is the right thing, and I can't.
There should be a 2 after it.
I have to spit, I can't swallow.
Matter 2.
But see, this
You know, but here's the thing, is that that is designed to continue everything I've drawn up here,
yeah,
you know? But and then how do you as white people, or perceived white people, say that without sounding racist? You can't.
we agree.
Well, yesterday Craig asks, who, what, why, when, where is God? Today you pose a problem that can't be answered either, with a simple answer. I can't say, well, you build a little church in the middle here, and you
Right.
no, and I think there's always more energy in the questions, I think.
And you asked earlier this week on Facebook, I forgot what you asked. It was around, I forgot how you asked, but kind of like, how do I care about this? Or I forget what I asked, but you said something like, how do I care about this? Or how do I deal with this, you know? And I think that what's missing in I don't want to say religion, but what's missing in what we represent, or try to represent, is that how do we affect this? Now the Puerto Rican part's important. Puerto Ricans in Chicago have been, probably everywhere, have been on the sidelines in everything. So they have to make their bones around everything. But what's connected to the Puerto Ricans is a lot of movements. You have the extreme movement of people that want to remain or want to become a state to the United States. You have people that just want to be a commonwealth. And then you have people that want to be revolutionaries and separate from the U.S. and do what Iceland did and tell the world, fuck you, I don't know your shit, and just kind of start from zero, right? And this guy, because of his connections to the outfit, is able to manipulate all 3 leaders of those movements around him to benefit the continuing movement. And unfortunately, half those motherfuckers are ministers on this side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean.
And so then it's like, and here's my frustration, and I told this to Bishop last night, I welcome a nuclear bomb to go off in the city of Chicago at this point. You know, I mean, if I could put that online and hope for it without getting indicted and arrested for it, you know, I would, because it's to the point of suffocating from this, you know, because, you know, I can't get away from this. Judy, you're in Chicago and you're unaware of all of this, you know, of the majority of this, what's going on, but you're benefiting from it, you know, from all of it. Second you get on a bus, the second you drive down the street that doesn't have a pothole, you benefit from this, you know? And it's like how do we continue, not just you, but how do we continue to do that, to support it? But and then say, well, we want to help those that are homeless, we want to help this person, we want to help that person. You know, how do we do that? We still drive down that fucking street that was paved on behalf of funds on the